Good afternoon, and thank you for joining us today as we talk about COVID-19 here in Erie County. Today we have 2 new positive cases to report of COVID-19 in Erie County. One of these individuals is in their 30s and the other is in their 40s, and they both reside in Zone 1, which will be posted on our cumulative cases map at eriecountypa.gov. Sadly, we also need to report today a 3rd death of an Erie County resident from COVID-19. And we extend our deepest sympathy to the family at this time during their time of loss. We do not yet have any specific information about the deceased individual, whether they were hospitalized or not, and we ask everyone to respect the family during this tragic time as they grieve the loss of their loved one. The numbers today take us to 125 cumulative positives with 2,876 negatives and 101 recovered. Contact tracing will continue at the Erie County Department of Health. An update on our surrounding counties show most of them have stayed the same. Crawford County with 21 cases, McKean reporting 8 cases and 1 death, Venango County with 7 cases, and Warren County with 2, Chautauqua County with 44 cases and 4 deaths, and Ashtabula now has 208 cases and 26 deaths. And the state is now reporting 59,636 cases and 4,218 deaths. Now, regarding businesses and compliance to the standards set in the yellow phase, I mentioned this yesterday, and I believe that it's worth reporting today again. The Pennsylvania Insurance Commissioner has reminded businesses that if you are not open under the yellow phase and you choose to defy the business closure order from the governor, you are risking your business insurance policy coverage. And if you are in the yellow phase but not complying, you also are risking that. And this includes property coverage, liability coverage, and a host of other essential coverages. For businesses that are permitted to be open under the yellow phase, you must adhere to the safety guidelines, or you will risk your business insurance policy coverage. The insurance department strongly encourages businesses or residents who have questions regarding insurance coverage during the phased reopening to reach out to your insurance carrier to discuss your concerns or questions. You could be risking your entire business by not complying. So please do your part in fighting COVID-19. Know what the regulations are. You will find this information under our business resources page at eriecountypa.gov. Again, please wear your mask whenever you go near anyone who does not live inside of your home. Keep your 6-foot distance, wash your hands with soap and water frequently for at least 20 seconds, and sanitize all surfaces regularly. And now, regarding schools and graduation. As we know, it's less than a month left of school for kindergarten through our 12th grade students. The health department has received several calls about regarding graduation ceremonies. The health department staff has had regular meetings and numerous phone calls with the superintendents of our school districts throughout Erie County. The safety and the security of all of our students and the communities those school districts represent is of the top priority. The Department of Education recently revised the graduation frequently asked questions sheet, and this can be found under the business resources at eriecountypa.gov. The #1 question that's being asked around the state is regarding graduation ceremonies. While we all want to be able to hold all those traditional graduation ceremonies, we must be flexible and we must be creative during this pandemic. According to the Pennsylvania Department of Education, schools located in counties in the yellow phase are limited to gatherings of no more than 25 people and must follow the Centers for Disease Control and Prevention and the Department of Health, Pennsylvania Department of Health guidance for social distancing. And this 25-person limit includes the students, their families, the faculty, and the administration of that school district. In all instances, schools must work to prevent and mitigate the spread of COVID-19 and to ensure the safety of the communities in which they serve. Schools should employ remote or virtual methods whenever and wherever possible, and strive to minimize the opportunities for personal interaction. The interactions of a number of people for an extended period of time provides a much greater opportunity and increases the risk for the transmission of COVID-19. We know that most of our local schools are celebrating their seniors in numerous ways. They're posting features of each senior on the school's website. They're sharing them on community social media pages. They're also dropping off signs, caps and gowns to the students' homes. These are ways to make your students feel special and proud of their accomplishments without having the traditional ceremonies and the inherent risks that those bring. I believe that our 2020 graduates are true heroes because all of you graduates out there are giving up a lot to keep our community safe and to keep others alive. As we look forward to summer, we have to recognize that things just won't be the same as they have always been. Health Department staff hosted a call with our local municipalities yesterday, answering their pressing questions for their communities. Many of them were concerned with the community activities and gatherings that normally occur in our warmer weather. Playgrounds, parks, festivals, and events around our 4th of July and other holiday celebrations. We know that Mill Creek Township has canceled the 4th of July parade there. Lawrence Park has canceled its festivities and fireworks for the 4th of July, in addition to canceling their monthly street dances and parks and recreation activities. Keep in mind, under the yellow phase, playgrounds and gazebos remain closed. We understand that many of the events are part of our long-standing traditions here in Erie County. Summer really just won't feel like summer without them. But we also know that we must make these sacrifices now for the health and the wellness of our county and all of its residents. For you, for your family, for your friends, for your neighbors. And now I'd like to welcome the City of Erie Mayor Joe Schember, who would like to share with us an update on summer events within the City of Erie. Mayor Schember?
Thank you very much, Kathy. Thanks for having me on today. I really appreciate it. I really appreciate also the great job that you and your amazing staff are doing leading us through this challenging pandemic. We are very lucky to have the Erie County Department of Health right here. I also want to thank all of our frontline workers, police, fire, ambulance staff, bus drivers, letter carriers, grocery store, drugstore, and public works employees. Thanks to everyone providing essential services throughout the Erie region. Before I get into what is happening with the city events this summer, I want to recognize that this is National Police Week. These brave women and men face danger daily to keep our communities safe. They are extraordinary. National Police Week also serves as a tribute to those who have been killed or disabled in the line of duty. I ask that all residents take a moment to thank your police officer personally if you see them, or through social media by adding the hashtag NPW. Here are the changes to the city's Erie summer schedule. Due to the ongoing COVID-19 outbreak, 3 city-sponsored events planned for this summer will be postponed. They are the Sounds of Summer, Lights Over Lake Erie, and Celebrate Erie. Sounds of Summer, the city's annual concert series, which features local musicians performing at various senior living facilities throughout the city of Erie, is postponed until June of 2021. We are exploring online and TV options, which we will announce at a later date. Lights Over Lake Erie, the city's annual 3rd of July fireworks show, has been postponed to Labor Day weekend. It's now scheduled for Sunday, September 6th at 10 p.m., but we will continue to monitor public health concerns with the Erie County Department of Health and make additional adjustments as necessary to ensure that it is a safe event for all. Celebrate Erie, our annual 3-day festival celebrating all things Erie, will be postponed until August of 2021. The Celebrate Erie Planning Committee is reviewing programming opportunities for a 8/14 day, which will take place on August 14th. Our decision to postpone the events comes after 6 weeks of careful research and detailed discussions with the Erie County Department of Health, city officials, and Celebrate Erie planning team over the local event organizers. We want to ensure the safety of attendees, staff, and the community at large. This was not an easy decision, but I believe it is the right decision. Celebrate Erie is one of the region's largest events, but public safety is our top priority. We are hopeful that the event will return in 2021 and be even bigger and better than ever. Next, I'll describe the current status of City of Erie parks. We have decided to continue to keep all park facilities closed for the foreseeable future. We receive requests from residents to gather in our parks for things like parties or picnics, playing recreational sports, or holding a 3 or a 5K run. Since there is still no vaccine or treatment for COVID-19, it is vital for the health of our community that we all refrain from gathering in large groups while we move towards the green phase. If we do not reopen responsibly, we will see a surge in cases and may have to return to the red phase. For that reason, summer leagues, camps, and recreational programs held within city-owned parks will not be permitted until we are out of the yellow phase. The following city park facilities will remain closed. Basketball courts and the rims were removed back on Friday, April the 3rd. Tennis courts will be closed. The nets have been removed and the gates are actually chained. Playground equipment cannot be used. The skate park cannot be used. Picnic areas involving pavilions, group exercise parks, and restrooms, all of these remain closed, but we encourage everyone to continue to stay active and healthy. You can exercise at home. You can also and you're permitted to use the city parks to do things like walk, hike, ride a bike, or run. You can also walk your dogs in the dog parks. The gates at the McClellan Dog Park are now open so cars can get in. The Downing and Glenwood golf courses have reopened. During the yellow phase, for the safety of everyone, a mask is required at check-in and to enter the clubhouse. We are also allowing only one rider per cart. There is one exception. 2 people who can confirm that they live together in the same house may share a cart. We continue to strongly urge all residents to do the following. Stay home if you do not feel well or are experiencing a sore throat, cough, fever, shortness of breath, or loss of taste or sense of smell. Do not gather in groups larger than 25. Maintain 6 feet distance between each other. Avoid touching objects and surfaces like handrails, water fountains, park equipment, crosswalk buttons. Don't touch these with your bare hand. Avoid touching your eyes, nose, and mouth with unwashed hands. Wash your hands often with soap and water for at least 20 seconds, especially after going to the bathroom, before eating, after blowing your nose, coughing, or sneezing. Use a hand sanitizer that contains at least 60% alcohol if soap and water are not available. Sneeze or cough into a disposable tissue and throw it in a lined trash can. Since people can be contagious but have no symptoms, when it's necessary to go out, it is vital for everyone to wear a mask or scarf covering your nose and mouth. For updates on summer events in terms of the virtual opportunities that are being planned, you can follow the city's social media channels or visit the City of Erie website at cityof.erie.pa.us. COVID-19 is an incredible challenge to all of us, but I am sure that we will learn from this very unusual experience. It will probably still be months before the threat of sickness and death is brought under control with the medicines for those who are sick and the vaccines for everyone else. I'm convinced that we will come out of the other side of this as a better, more knowledgeable, and closer community than we ever have been before. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, Joe, and thank you for joining me today. And it really, I'm so appreciative of all the partnerships we've had on a number of issues with the City of Erie as we all try to really work to mitigate the spread of COVID-19 here in our community. So that partnership continues, and we're really grateful for that. And at this point, I want to open it up to the media, and we will start with Erie News Now for either questions for myself or for Mayor Joe Schember.
Good afternoon to both of you. My question is for the mayor. Mayor, I'm not asking you to be the treasurer here. I don't need specific dollars and cents, but can you ballpark for me what sort of a financial implication having to postpone events has for the city, both in terms of expected income and in terms of money that would have already been spent on things that now may or may not happen?
Money. So we have not spent a lot of money on these events at this point. I'm not sure that there's a big impact from that at all, to be honest. In terms of overall city finances, we seem to be doing fairly well. Our, the main source of income is, of course, property tax, which was due at discount by the end of April. And our collections were actually up from a year ago as a percentage of total taxes due. It was down a couple percentage points, but we're not taking anything for granted with the finances. We're watching them very closely. But right now, though, I think there's going to be some impact, no question. We're probably talking in maybe a couple $1 million impact on the city, but we are watching it closely, and we'll do what we need to get through.
And would you talk to me about what you think losing these events means for our economy?
It's probably not good for the economy, to be very honest, because obviously a lot of people make money. We try to use local vendors and local participants in all of these events. So there's definitely an impact there. But it comes down to a question of, do we want people to live or do we want them to make money? And we have to make sure we limit the number of people that are going to die from COVID-19 as much as possible right now.
Thank you. Jet TV?
Hi, County Executive. This is Brian Wilk with Jet 24. My question is about the bakery and cafe in Corey called Needful Things. I know that they were serving customers, but they were not wearing masks, and the health department was called into that restaurant. What's happening now? Are they facing any penalties? Are they possibly going to be shut down?
So we're very aware of the situation, and that situation is now in the hands of the legal team at the county. And also to that point, the State Department of Agriculture just this afternoon put out some new guidelines regarding restaurant enforcement actions and urging compliance, and there are 6 bullet points under their new guidance that came out. And this says that the warning letter from the Department of Agriculture and Health would happen. Then there would be a follow-up inspection, and then if still in violation of the order, to follow up on the inspection. The adjudication to suspend the business food license might occur, and if the business continues to operate after license is revoked, citations would be filed with the magisterial judge, and then the department may pursue civil penalties of up to $10,000 per day of violation. So this is just new information that came in this afternoon, early this afternoon, from the State Department of Agriculture. So, we'll wait and see what happens, but we're going to obviously continue to look at this from a legal standpoint, and would hope that everyone would try to do the right thing for the community. And regarding masks, I do want to say there was actually, I thought, a great opinion piece in the Erie Times News today. Mr. Jonah Goldberg, who's often in the Erie Times News, and the one statement he made I thought was really poignant, and it was, a mask is a medically sound courtesy to others. And as I've said, your mask protects other people. So it's a courtesy to the people that you're eating with, to the people that you're serving, to the people that you come in contact with in our community. And I thought that was just an excellent statement.
So I know you mentioned those new guidelines being put out, but right now, are they facing any penalties? Could they possibly down the line be shut down or lose their license?
Well, I just mentioned all the things that could happen to them, and those are all possibilities, and it is in the hands of the legal team right now.
Okay, thank you.
Erie Times News.
Yes, Kathy, it's David. Going back to the death that was reported, is there anything else you have, an age or what day the person died from COVID?
I don't have any of that information. We found out that information when the statistics came out today from the state. So in the past, the other 2 deaths, as we know, they passed away at St. Vincent Allegheny Health Network, and the hospital actually contacted our health department to let them know about those 2 deaths. And so we knew about them before they were ever in the state numbers. This death we found out through the state numbers, so I don't have any other further information.
Okay. And then just kind of a daily question. Have you had much contact with the state today about either summer camps or anything else about things that are still kind of in the gray area, whether they can open or not?
So we've reached out a few times in the last 24 hours, particularly about these summer camps. These are organized summer camps. And so we are really trying to get the clarification from the state on this, because we know some of these camps are getting ready to open up. And so we're trying to get clarification, but have not gotten that yet.
Thank you.
Sure. Talk Erie?
Yes, good afternoon. It's Joel Natale. I have a question for the mayor. Mayor, wondering about if right now the stay-at-home order is until June 4th. Is there additional knowledge that you all have that are showing that we're going to have to keep these playgrounds shut down and keep all these events shut down into the summer that the rest of us don't know yet? We just heard from Rachel Levine saying that they're working on what green looks like. What can you tell us about why you would extend deep into the summer this shutdown for most of the amenities in Erie?
I think COVID-19 is very dangerous until we have a vaccine and at least a treatment for people that are sick with it, which doesn't exist now. And from what I'm hearing from medical professionals, it doesn't sound like we'll have anything like that for many months, probably maybe by the end of this year is the best I've heard. By December, probably more likely into next year. So that's why we are basically shutting down activities this summer. And if something changes, obviously we're open to changing, but I don't expect that to happen based on what I'm hearing. We have to keep people safe and alive. And the only way to do it right now is to kind of keep us separate and not get into the big events where there's thousands of people gather on State Street or something like that.
But what about the smaller events and just being able to use, the parks and recreation that the city offers? Do you see that being able to be more agile if we go into a green phase, let's say in June or July 1st?
I think it's very unlikely we'd be in a green phase that quickly. I think there's got to be a vaccine and a treatment for COVID-19 before that'll happen. And I just don't, I'd be happy if it did, but I don't see it as even a remote possibility right now. I think we're going to be in yellow phase for at least months now. And the best thing we can do is kind of stay separate, not exchange the virus with each other, and, stay apart so that people stay alive and healthy.
Thank you.
Just real quick, so you think we're going back to school in yellow phase?
I don't think a decision's been made on that yet, what will happen with schools. I know that they're talking about different alternatives and trying to figure out a way. Obviously, we want our kids to get educated, but we also want them to stay alive. So I don't think there's any decisions made. I believe every school would like to reopen this fall, but they have to come up with a safe way to do it.
Thanks.
Thank you. I just want to clarify one thing that Joel Natale just said, that the stay-at-home order was until June 4th. That was the governor extending the stay-at-home order for the red phased counties. The yellow phased counties, the stay-at-home order was lifted last Friday, but we have obviously a number of other guidelines in place that we are hoping everyone follows. I just want to clarify that. Erie News Now.
Hi, a question for both of you, if I may. We're looking more long-term now even. What effect do you think that canceling these 3 events coming up this summer, or postponing them rather, will have long-term, if any, just because tourism is so important to Erie and Erie County? Can you take me through, not just this year, it's easy to see the immediate impact, but other impacts that people might not see down the road?
Do you want me to go first, Kathy?
Sure,
or-
why don't you go ahead, Joe?
Okay. I don't see a big long-term effect, to be honest. If anything, I think that's going to make us all appreciate these events a lot more and look forward to going to them when we're able to again next year. And I know that we have a committee that works on Celebrate Erie, and they're already trying to plan things that are really going to make it attractive in 2021. So I believe it's a short-term impact. I'm hoping the whole COVID-19 thing is short-term, but short-term right now, I think means at least months, not a couple days or a couple weeks. It's going to be a little bit of a time.
I would just reiterate that we're all going to miss all of these things this year, and it's going to be, less of a celebratory summer for all of us. But I'm pretty sure that those who plan all these wonderful events for us will actually come back when we're able to, with even bigger and better, and we will all be excited to attend them as they are able to reopen, hopefully next summer.
You don't think any lasting effects on businesses that lose out on having those people in? You think a short-term hit, but nothing too substantial?
Oh, I would say that there's going to be a huge hit to our community in terms of the tourism. And most people who come here don't come maybe specifically for the event, but those events are an add-on to their experience when they're in Erie County. And so that becomes, maybe less of an attraction for them to come. But we know some of our big attractions right now are not open. Places like, for example, Waldemere and Splash Lagoon and those type of entertainment venues. So they think there will be a hit to our community. Restaurants are not open yet for inside seating. So they obviously continue to take a hit because of that. There are a few that are actually doing pretty well, but many of them are obviously still feeling the financial hit from that. So I think that there will be, but there'll be some others that will do really well. I was thinking the other day as I was cycling around Presque Isle about the vendor who rents the bikes and other equipment out there. And maybe they'll even do better this year because people will be doing that type of an activity. Or there's a vendor down on the bayfront who rents boats and kayaks and things like that. So maybe they'll even do better this year. So some businesses may actually do better, but I think we will see a definite hit because of our lack of tourists. People are kind of afraid to travel right now, and so we probably will see less visitors into Erie County. Jet TV? Jet TV?
Hi, this question is for the mayor. You mentioned, I know that the yellow phase could go on for months and that, many major summer events are going to be postponed or, possibly canceled. And, in the name of public safety, that's the top priority. And you also mentioned that there could be additional adjustments down the line. What are some of those? Could you explain those?
I'm not sure what you mean by additional adjustments. So, for instance, we put off the fireworks till September, but we don't know if it's going to be safe to do it in September. I guess that would be a good example. So that could get postponed again, very possibly. But we're hoping we can do it then, but if we can't do it safely, we will postpone it.
Thank you.
Thank you. Erie Times News?
Yes, Kathy. Do you share the mayor's assessment that we will remain in the yellow phase for months?
I wish we all had a crystal ball and could tell when this will happen. But I think it really depends on the residents and the businesses of Erie County. We've said this is a group effort. This cannot be done by just the government. This cannot be done by just one entity. This is going to be collective. And so all the efforts that the municipalities and the other event organizers are making to cancel and postpone their events is going to help us, I think, stay in a place where we see less COVID-19 spread in our community. And that hopefully will help us get to the green phase faster. But again, it really just depends on our own behavior and how much we do here. I can tell you that we have done really, really well here. And I think that sometimes gives people complacency We haven't had, now we have 3 deaths, but it's, in my opinion, it's 3 deaths too many, and we don't want to have more. We're 125 cases, very low for our population density, but we've gotten to these numbers because not just the Department of Health, not just county government, but collectively, we've all done a lot to keep us at this position where people aren't dying in great numbers and where we don't see the spread into places where it can be extremely devastating. So those are the things we have to continue to do. And if we do these things and do them really well, then my hope is that we will get to green sooner. But I will agree, with the mayor that until we have a vaccine or really great ways to treat COVID-19, even in the green phase, I think there will be some restrictions. I think there will be restrictions potentially on the number of people that can gather. So when you're talking about a Celebrate Erie that can attract 30,000 people, or more, I don't even know how many, probably more than that. I think 30,000 was the number I heard on the Mill Creek Parade. So when you're talking about events that attract that number of people, and we all know those parades, everybody's right up against each other, and it's a lot of fun, but it's a terrible place in terms of the spread of COVID-19. So grateful to everyone who understands why we need to do these things this summer, why we need to cancel all these events and basically make it kind of a no-event summer. Those people need to, I just am grateful for people's acceptance of that and the reasons behind it.
Okay. And a follow-up on a different subject, again, something I asked the other day. During Dr. Levine's press conference, it was mentioned that there is reports that perhaps there are some cases of that childhood immunity illness that's connected with COVID-19 in the state. Have you heard anything in the last 24 hours about any cases here in Erie County?
I have not. I have not heard anything about that, and let's hope that that's not happening. But I certainly haven't heard that we have anything like that. And it's a concern. I've had a couple parents of young children just in the last 24 hours ask me about that. And, where before we didn't really think it was affecting young people. But of course, we know we have a few very young people in our community who have been infected. And we know that some children who do become infected are ending up with these very devastating reactions to the COVID-19 virus. Erie News Now, do you have any final questions?
I do. Just in a broader scope, would you address this for the county in terms of if we go through one of these summers where pretty much everything has to be shut down to keep us safe, which is incredibly important, of course, but just what would that mean for us economically? Not just the 3 big events today, but across the board as more and more things fall victim to the virus, more and more events. What does that mean for a county that's one of the huge draws of our area?
Well, we know tourism is a huge part of our economy. Many, many people employed in that industry, and my fear is that many of those people won't have a job this summer, and that's obviously huge. Let's just start there with the personal impact on those who depend on our tourism to help pay the bills. And then, of course, there's all these business owners who make all of their money within a very, very short period of time, months, just a few months, 3, 4, 5 months is when they make the vast majority of their income. And so all of those are going to take a huge hit. And some of those businesses, unfortunately, may not survive this. And those are the devastating pieces of this that all of us understand and are trying to find ways to help mitigate if we can through some funding that we've tried to put out there. I know the city's been trying to help businesses. We've done that through the county's redevelopment authority. Of course, we know that the state and the federal government are doing the same. But you can only do so much. So I talked to John Oliver the other day, and we talked about, how can we try to encourage people to utilize Erie County, but in a safer way. And I give you the numbers every day of the counties right around us. Do we try to market to those counties and try to encourage them to come and stay a night or 2, rather than the person who's going to come from many hours away, who may be coming from a much more contagious area, an area where we've got a huge COVID-19 influence. So I don't know. I think that Visit Erie is trying to figure this out, as we all are, and we're all trying to find new and unique ways to allow things to happen here, but do it safely. And it's tough. It's tough, and you've got to be very creative, and you've got to think truly outside the box. I don't know if the mayor wants to add anything to that, but
No, I agree with everything you said. Yeah.
okay.
One thing I would add is Celebrate Erie. We typically have about 200,000 people attend that. There's some cameras in Perry Square, and we can get numbers of people in the area from that. And I can tell you, one of my favorite things to do as mayor, I'm going to really miss it this year, but in our evening acts, which are on the stage down on 4th Street, I get to go up on the stage and kind of welcome the crowd and introduce the guest that's going to perform. Just looking up State Street, seeing it packed with people as far as you can see, that is such a great feeling. I will miss that, but again, we got to keep those people safe.
It is such a great feeling. I just got a little chills thinking about that myself as you were talking about it. And these are truly the things we love about our community. And we're so grateful that the City of Erie does put on Celebrate Erie every year. And so we all, every single one of us, myself included, is really going to miss that this year. Jet TV, do you have any final questions?
No, I do not. Thank you.
Thank you. Erie Times News, do you have any final questions for us?
Yes, Kathy, this one's for you. If you can just, and there was some feedback when you talked about the business in Girard. Can you tell me how you learned? Did you guys learn about that from the Department of Agriculture? How did that come to your attention?
I believe you're referring to the business in Corey?
I'm sorry, business inquiry.
Okay,
Right.
I just wanted to make sure we were talking about the same thing. I first learned about it because my Department of Health did get a complaint in, and as you know, once we get complaints in, we just call the business and try to talk to them, and so that's how we first found out about it.
And what day did you guys, the Department of Health, get the report on that, the complaint?
I think that they had conversations on Tuesday. I was informed about it Wednesday. That was yesterday, yeah. On Wednesday that that this business was continuing to defy the governor's order regarding in-restaurant seating and universal masking inside of a building.
So what, it was the people were eating in the restaurant and the staff wasn't wearing masks?
That's my understanding. Seating in the restaurant and masking is allowed, but not required either by the staff or by the patrons. So both. That's my understanding.
Thank you.
Sure. Talk Erie, do you have any final questions?
Sure. Just one more follow-up for the mayor. I just want to make sure I understand what this might mean with the playgrounds being closed for the Spoons Camp, for the Y Day camps, for the summer feeding programs that happen in Burton, Roger Young, and all across the city. Are we talking about alternative ideas for that? Will the basketball hoops be up for the YMCA summer camps? Can you talk a little bit about that?
Yeah, I mean, no, the basketball hoops won't be up. The tennis nets won't be up because there's a chance COVID could get passed by people using the same balls and playing closely together in basketball. So right now, no plans to open those until it's contained, until the disease is contained. But as I said during my presentation, people can always go for a walk. They can go for a bike ride. They can go for a run in the park. They can take their infant over and walk them to the park. The parks are open. It's just we can't have people touching the same things and spreading the virus that way.
It's just that the Y has organized camps in the parks in the city.
Well, again, as long as they're less than 25 people and they keep them all 6 feet apart, they can do that, and they can't be touching the same things. I think they'll be working with the County Department of Health to determine how to do that safely.
Great, thank you.
Okay.
Thank you, Joel. So before we close today, I want to tell you that May 14th, which is today, is National Decency Day. It's a celebration of the basic standard of civility that every person in our community deserves. Decency is all about active listening, about better understanding, and about compassion. Decency offers an opportunity to be a better role model for our children of our community. And if we can all be more civil with one another, no matter where you stand on an issue, wearing masks, not wearing masks, whatever it is you stand on, I ask everyone to please set the right example, to be civil with each other, and to listen to the other person's point of view, and to have compassion so that you can have better understanding of each other. And so that's my final thought for today that hopefully we can all live with, except for my final note, which I always say, and that's please stay as close as home as possible, please stay safe, and lastly, please stay calm. Thank you again to Mayor Joe Schember for joining me, a great partner in so many things that we do together. I really appreciate you being on with me today.